After a 13-27 season, the Chicago Sky have decided to fire Reese Witherspoon. In the words of Vince McMahon, "You're fired!"
Angel Reese, who proudly calls herself the face of women's basketball, is in disbelief as the Chicago Sky's season spirals into complete chaos. What was hyped as a season of promise turned into a spectacular disaster that even die-hard fans couldn't ignore. With a dismal 13-27 record and shattered team chemistry, the collapse felt like more than just a losing season. It was a crushing blow to a city that takes its sport seriously.
There's when other teams say I wish we drafted you.
Really?
Yes. Like teams that have drafted that were above me, that the players that got drafted above, and it was nothing against their rookies that got drafted, but they were like, I wish we were teammates. I wish we drafted you.
WNBA legend Teresa Weatherspoon was expected to be the savior who could rebuild this struggling franchise and restore hope to Chicago fans. But instead of sparking a revival, her leadership seemed to ignite all the wrong flames, stirring up locker room drama and raising eyebrows with questionable coaching choices. Then there was Angel Reese. Her bold on-court behavior and outspoken personality off the court left fans conflicted, torn between cheering for her and feeling exasperated by her antics.
Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
In a bold interview, Reese confidently predicted that in 20 years, she would be remembered as one of the key figures who brought greater recognition to women's basketball. But this story isn't just about numbers or game results. It's about a fan base grappling with the fallout of broken dreams, left questioning how everything went so disastrously off track.
Now, Marina Mabrey, she's already flown the coop on this team, and it was quote-unquote because of culture. Well, what happened to the culture? Who torched the culture? Who's selfish on the team that would cause the culture to melt down?
Reese's actions off the court only added fuel to the fire. On her podcast, she claimed that several teams who had passed on her in the WNBA draft later called to express their regret, a statement many found hard to believe. On the court, she stirred even more controversy with a flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark during a game, which became a flashpoint for criticism. Reese defended the fall as a legitimate play for the ball and suggested Clark was receiving preferential treatment from the referees, but video footage told a different story. Fans on social media were quick to criticize her explanations, calling them embarrassing excuses and pointing to her behavior as a key factor in the team's poor chemistry.
When Tyler Marsh did the press conference, he talked about Angel Reese, he talked about Cardoso, who I think is going to be a star in the WNBA, but he did not really mention Kennedy Carter at all, and that raised a lot of eyebrows.
The Chicago Sky are falling apart, and their dismal 13-27 record barely scratches the surface of the turmoil. A team once full of potential is now sinking under the weight of dysfunction. At the heart of the chaos is Angel Reese, whose influence has reportedly turned the locker room into a war zone. Leadership has disappeared, team culture is in shambles, and their star shooter, Kennedy Carter, who averaged 17.5 points per game last season, seems more focused on Twitter polls than game strategies as she looks toward greener pastures with other teams.
Angel Reese is now quoted as saying, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. She refuses to say Caitlin Clark's name. It's because of me too, and I want you to realize.
Anonymously, one veteran player remarked that it was clear who Weatherspoon was trying to appease, and it wasn't the team. Rising talents like Camila Cardoso struggled to secure consistent roles, their potential overshadowed as Reese's personal stats appeared to take priority over team success. The dysfunction reached new heights mid-season when the Sky traded Marina Mabrey, a sharpshooter and defensive asset, to the Connecticut Sun under puzzling circumstances. While Mabrey refrained from directly criticizing the Sky, her glowing comments about the Sun's professional atmosphere were telling. She highlighted how players in Connecticut could focus entirely on basketball, a thinly veiled jab at the turmoil she left behind in Chicago.
Chicago Sky franchise has been an absolute dumpster fire
since winning the WNBA championship in 2021. Let's go through some of the names that have left. James Wade, who was the coach and GM, left in the middle of the season last year to go to the NBA.
Player exit interviews revealed a bleak assessment of the season. Veteran players questioned Weatherspoon's leadership, while younger teammates voiced frustration over the lack of direction and clear roles. Fundamental aspects like maintaining discipline on the court were often neglected, and by the season's end, the cracks in the locker room were impossible to ignore. With Weatherspoon now out as head coach, the Sky faced the daunting task of rebuilding after a catastrophic season. Angel Reese's future with the team remains uncertain, but her time in Chicago has become a cautionary tale of how individual ambition can derail team unity. What was supposed to be a fresh start turned into utter chaos, with Reese at the center of the fallout.
Candace Parker, Emma Messman, Courtney Vandersloot, Allie Quigley, Clea Copper was traded, Lazura Stevens. And then this year, after drafting Cardozo and Reese, they were competing for a playoff spot and traded Marina Mabrey, their veteran, before the Olympic break.
Kennedy Carter, the Sky's leading scorer and a restricted free agent come January, didn't hold back on social media. She posted, "Y'all be coaches and GMs anyways. Let's see what you think," inviting fans to weigh in on her next destination. Subtle? Not at all. The backlash was swift. Some fans sided with her, blaming Chicago's toxic leadership, while others criticized her for airing the team's dirty laundry like it was an episode of Real Housewives. WNBA editioned, but Carter isn't the only one who left. Marina Mabrey, who averaged 15.4 points per game, exited mid-season citing culture issues. Candace Parker, the former face of the franchise, didn't even stay after their 2021 championship win, choosing the stability of Las Vegas instead. And then there's Teresa Weatherspoon. She didn't even last a full season as head coach, reportedly losing the locker room by playing favorites now. It's Tyler Marsh's turn to rebuild. In a recent press conference, Marsh talked up Angel Reese, praising her potential, and highlighted rising star Camila Cardoso, who many see as the team's future. But when it came to Carter, silence. His vague acknowledgement of her as a huge catalyst for last season's success, without committing to her return, raised more questions than answers.
However, new Sky coach Tyler Marsh was asked about whether he sees Kennedy Carter in the big part of what he's doing in the future during an appearance on the Athletic Women's Basketball Show. Quote, "In regards to Kennedy, she's a great player. She was a huge catalyst to what last year's team was able to do and accomplish, and obviously she's slated to be a free agent."
Reese continues to be a double-edged sword for the Sky. Her impressive stats, 16.8 points and 10.6 rebounds per game, prove she's a dominant presence on the court, but her reported role in fueling locker room tension is hard to overlook. Rumors of favoritism have only widened the rift, leaving teammates to wonder if the team values star power over unity. Meanwhile, the Sky seem to be in free fall. Marsh's decision to sidestep the Kennedy Carter situation only adds to speculation that the team might be ready to part ways with its top scorer. But with Carter's track record of issues from her previous team, it's unclear whether the Sky are trying to rebuild around individual talent or simply bracing for yet another breakdown.
The focus thus far has been on players who we know are under contract this coming year, and that's where the communication has been thus far.
The irony? All this chaos comes barely a year after the Sky were making a playoff push. Now they've become a textbook example of how not to run a franchise. While Reese isn't entirely to blame for the meltdown, her prominence in a divided team isn't exactly earning her any fan votes. So, where does it all go from here? Will Marsh wipe the slate clean and start over? Will Carter walk away, leaving the Sky even more irrelevant? Or will this soap opera drag on, keeping fans entertained for all the wrong reasons? One thing's certain. The Chicago Sky's culture has officially become meme-worthy.
And I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media posts, but she's very me, always. Me.
The Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever tell two very different stories in the WNBA, one of decline and dysfunction, the other of unity and revival. The Sky, once a championship-winning team, have struggled to maintain their identity, plagued by poor leadership and internal turmoil. Teresa Weatherspoon's tumultuous time as head coach left the team in disarray, and while Angel Reese brought undeniable talent, her polarizing behavior only widened the cracks. For the Sky, the big question is whether they can rebuild their team culture and rediscover their championship mindset, or if they'll keep spiraling further into chaos.
According to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord.
Leadership struggles and favoritism have weakened the foundation of the Chicago Sky, fostering an environment where individual drama takes precedence over team unity. The appointment of Tyler Marsh as head coach offers a glimmer of hope as he seeks to restore discipline and teamwork. However, the real challenge will be whether the players, particularly Reese, can embrace a team-first mentality. Without unity and accountability, the Sky risk alienating their fan base and falling further behind in a league that demands excellence both on and off the court. In stark contrast, the Indiana Fever have become a shining example of what strong leadership and a clear vision can accomplish. After years of mediocrity, the Fever have completely rebuilt their team culture, thanks to President Kelly Cove, General Manager Amber Cox, and head coach Stephanie White. Together, they've created an atmosphere grounded in transparency, discipline, and collaboration. Their leadership extends beyond just roster moves. They've developed a system where every player feels empowered and valued.
Obviously, the players here are very experienced and they want to keep a good environment, and they make sure that they kind of like hold people accountable for that. So,
at the heart of the Fever's success is Caitlin Clark, whose record-breaking rookie season has redefined both the team's and the league's expectations. Clark isn't just a skilled player. She's a transformative leader who lifts her teammates with her fierce competitive drive and unwavering support. She has seamlessly integrated into a team that also features stars like Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell. Together, they've found the perfect balance of individual brilliance and collective harmony, making Indiana a highly sought-after destination for free agents. The Fever's rise offers a blueprint for success, while the Sky's struggles highlight the fallout from poor leadership and unchecked drama. As the WNBA continues to grow in both talent and visibility, these two contrasting narratives provide a fascinating study in the differences between strong leadership and dysfunction. For the Sky, redemption means rebuilding trust and focusing on unity. For the Fever, their steady ascent marks the beginning of what could be a new dynasty. One thing is clear: the league, its fans, and its players are closely watching as the journeys of these teams shape the future of women's basketball.